So what is this show about? You said you really loved it.
I don't know. It has something to do with history. You're hot.
Hello, America. Welcome to another episode of Messed Up Stuff Your Government Did. I'm your host, Mr. Powers. I see no other place better to talk about the murder and genocide committed by the American government than the Oval Office. This show is dedicated to you, President Jackson. No other man could have made the destruction of the Cherokee people look so easy. I believe it was you that once said, "Build a fire under them. When it gets hot enough they'll move." Now join us as Messed Up Stuff Your Government Did takes you back to the darkest moment in American history. Hello again. Before we get to the government committed slaughter of the Cherokee, let us look where these great people came from. This map shows the early Overhill Cherokee country. This included the great peace town of Chita, as well as other settlements of the Overhills. Most of these early Overhill Cherokee towns are underwater. But long before the water came, the Cherokee people were being forced out of this area by the government. Their land holdings would slowly be taken from their grips. The size of their great nation was now in the sight of greed and racial unjust. This dark spot on the map shows the area controlled by the Cherokee. In 1817, John Ross would help his people move their main city to North Georgia and begin using a more American style of government. This would be the beginning of New Eshita. Take note. The Cherokee are an island in the evil, unfair sea of the white man. The outside pressure would soon prove too much for them. When we return, the Cherokee Nation will become victims of genocide by the hand of our own government. Greed would be the driving force behind these terrible acts. Hello, welcome back. The time is closing in fast on the Cherokee people. Soon it will be President Jackson who will set their removal in motion. The Indian Removal Act was passed in 1830 by the leader of Cherokee murders, President Jackson. Have a look into eyes of a killer. The thirst for land and gold was behind Jackson's Hitler-like policies. From 1830 to 1838, Chief John Ross would fight for this criminal act against his people to be stopped. It was not enough. It would be some of his own people, led by Major Ridge, that would seal the fate of the Cherokee Nation. On May 17, 1836, Major Ridge, along with a handful of other Cherokee, signed the Treaty of New Eshita. In this secret meeting with government officials, he, along with his sons, had given all rights to Cherokee land to Jackson and his cronies. It was passed with only one vote. In 2 years, Major Ridge's deal would cost the Cherokee Nation many lives, their homeland, and much suffering in a sad long trip west. He too would go west, but his death would soon follow. By a force he was also responsible for, karma. In the spring of 1838, General Winfield Scott showed up in Cherokee country with 7,000 troops. The genocide had begun. Following orders for the president, his man gathered up the Cherokee like animals and many were put into concentration camps before the deadly Trail of Tears was to begin. After a prayer led by Chief John Ross, 16,000 of his people would be forced to leave their native land. On this sad trail of death, 4,000, including his own wife, would die. General Scott stayed to continue hunting down the last Cherokee. Several hundred had escaped to the Smoky Mountains. Unable to find these Cherokee, he called his troops back and the removal had ended. As 12 of his soldiers were withdrawing, they came across an old Cherokee, Sali, and his family. They tried to round them up and begin roughing up his wife. Charlie, speaking in his native language, a different plan. And when he was done, 2 soldiers would be dead. He took his family deeper into the mountains. The legend had begun. During this time, William Holland Thomas, a longtime friend of the Cherokee, would come to their aid. Pressure was being put on the Cherokee and Thomas to find Sali for the murder of the soldiers. He, along with 1,000 others, were still hiding in the Smoky Mountains. It was Thomas who would go to Sarley for hopes of a surrender, which he would bring back one demand for General Scott. So it goes, Sarley said, if his people that remained in the great mountains of their homeland could remain, he would give himself up. Scott accepted. Thomas escorted Sarley from the cave, which today is in the area of the Smokies known as Deep Creek, along with his sons, to turn over to Scott. Within minutes, they were to be executed by a firing squad. It was Sarley, whose bravery and sacrifice gave birth to the Eastern Band of Cherokees, many of which today are direct descendants of these people who hid in the mountains. Thank you for joining us for another evening of messed up stuff your government did. As we leave, let us remember those Cherokee who died at the hand of our government.